Ukrainian intelligence reports fuel shortages now reach Russia's Pacific territories, forcing Moscow to seek emergency supplies from Belarus. The reported restrictions from Crimea to the Pacific Islands demonstrate how Ukraine's systematic refinery strikes are creating supply disruptions far from front lines, potentially affecting both military logistics and civilian mobility. Russia has imposed strict 10-liter fuel rationing on civilians in the remote Kuril Islands, while urgently purchasing petroleum from Belarus to address spreading domestic shortages, Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service reported, according to Euromaidan Press media outlet. Since January, oil refineries have been the target of 42% of Ukrainian long-range strikes, making them the single most hit category. The data also breaks down the distances of strikes from Ukraine's border. Nearly 39.22% of hits landed between 500 and 1,000 kilometers inside Russia, while 37.25% were between 200 and 500 kilometers. Only 13.73% were within 200 kilometers of the border. More than 10% of the strikes reached beyond 1,000 kilometers, a range that underscores Ukraine's long-range capabilities. Russian media, including the Moscow Times, have separately confirmed gasoline prices reached record highs after refinery attacks. According to the Ukrainian intelligence report, Russian companies' interest in Belarusian petroleum products rose sharply in the second half of August, citing the Belarusian state company Belneftekhim. The assessment claims Belarusian refineries are rapidly increasing supplies to meet Russian demand. Russian companies are urgently buying fuel from Belarus, the Foreign Intelligence Service stated, though the scale and verification of these purchases could not be independently confirmed. According to the intelligence assessment, the fuel crisis has spread from occupied Crimea eastward through Russia's far eastern regions of Transbaikalia and Primorye, ultimately reaching the remote Kuril Islands near Japan. Russian media have documented specific price increases from the strikes. The Moscow Times reported that wholesale gasoline prices reached historic highs after Ukrainian strikes on major refineries, with AI-92 gasoline jumping 38% and AI-95 nearly 49% since the start of 2025. 3 major refineries knocked offline in August, and Ukrainian strikes target 13.5% of refining capacity. Russian fuel prices surge 40 to 50% since the start of the year, reaching historic records. Russia imposed gasoline export bans with extensions under consideration. Wholesale fuel prices trigger crisis, forcing domestic market interventions. Recent verified strikes include multiple hits on the Ryazan refinery, which produces aviation fuel for Russian military aircraft, and the Volgograd facility, which processes over 14 million tons annually.
A day after the world's leading authority on food crises said the Gaza Strip's largest city was gripped by famine, Palestinians were seen returning from the Kyiv area, where hundreds go every day trying to get aid from the trucks with supplies entering the enclave. The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC, said on Friday famine is happening in Gaza City, home to hundreds of thousands, and could spread south to Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis by the end of next month. Carrying a bag of aid, Ibrahim al-Jindi, a displaced man from northern Gaza, said on Saturday that he risks his life to bring food for his children. "I came today carrying my soul on the palm of my hand to get food and drinks for my children. Unfortunately, the price we pay is human beings who die for nothing, martyr after another, injured after another," he said. The IPC report comes after months of warnings by humanitarian groups that Israel's restrictions of food and other aid into Gaza, and its military offensive, were causing starvation among Palestinian civilians, particularly children. Israel rejected the report, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling it an outright lie. Netanyahu accused Hamas of starving the Israeli hostages that remain in captivity in Gaza. The grim milestone, the first time the IPC has confirmed a famine in the Middle East, is sure to ramp up international pressure on Israel, which has been fighting Hamas since the militant group's October 7, 2023, attack. Israel says it plans to seize Gaza City and other Hamas strongholds, an escalation experts say will exacerbate the hunger crisis. The IPC said hunger has been driven by fighting and the blockade of aid, and magnified by widespread displacement and the collapse of food production in Gaza, pushing hunger to life-threatening levels across the entire territory after 22 months of war. More than 500,000 people in Gaza, about a quarter of its population, face catastrophic levels of hunger. With many at risk of death from malnutrition-related causes, the IPC report said. After the publication of images of emaciated children in Gaza and reports of hunger-related deaths in recent weeks, Israel announced measures to let more humanitarian aid in. Yet the United Nations says what's entering is far below what's needed. Netanyahu says more pressure is needed to achieve Israel's goals of freeing the hostages held by Hamas and eliminating the militant group. The army is moving forward with the plans to retake Gaza City. The Israeli military has said troops are operating on the outskirts and in the city's Zaytown neighborhood. Israel says Gaza City is still a Hamas stronghold, with a network of tunnels. The city also is home to hundreds of thousands of civilians, some of whom have fled from elsewhere. The new operation was criticized by part of the international community and humanitarian groups, that said it will create new massive displacement and even worse conditions for hundreds of thousands.
أنا اليوم جاي حامل روحي على كفي عشان أجيب أكل أولادي، أجيب أكل وشرب لأولادي. للأسف الشديد بندفع الضريبة بني آدمين بتروح ببلاش إلا ربع. شهيد ورا شهيد، مصاب ورا مصاب. فيش مستشفيات تعالج. أنا ليش عمري 30 سنة أجري ورا كيلو عدس كيلو طحين؟
أنا جاي أجيب أكل أقوت أولادي وما قدرتش أجيب من كثر الكم الهائل اللي موجود من الناس وصعوبة الموقف ما بين الطاخ وبين تفغيص المقاطير وقتل الشباب فوق بعضهم بعض.
احنا نزحنا 12 نزحة وحاليا احنا رجعنا على دورنا لقيناها مهدمة وردم وساكنين في مخيمات، ولكن عندنا حالة رعب من كلمة النزوح لأنه ما ضلش عندنا قدرة لا مادية ولا جسدية ولا أي نوع، ولا ضل لنا أشياء نعمل فيها خيم أو بيوت. احنا تعبنا كتير وهذا اللي انت شايفه اسمه قطار الموت. هم بتمعنوا في قتلنا بكل الأشكال.